We are going to finish up our parables series tonight, and next week I just want to let you know we're going to start a new series of messages. The theme for February is X plus Y, a teenager's guide to relationships. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about. And if you look very carefully there, you see the W-H-Y, which would be the question why. We're going to look at why we do some of the dumb things we do. Not you guys, but you may have seen your friend, that did something dumb. And so we'll look at that. Next week, that's when it's kicking off. I just encourage you to bring somebody. Not necessarily someone of the opposite sex, although that's okay. It's alright, it's legit, you can do that. But bring somebody, bring a friend, bring some group of friends. This could be very helpful to shaping your perspective on how you do relationships the rest of your life. Really good. And so I want you to all come out and bring somebody starting next Wednesday night. So wrapping up the parable series tonight, we are going to look at the parable of the Prodigal Son. Who's heard of this parable before? Yes, you have. The parable of the Prodigal Son over here. You guys staring at me like you never heard it. Somebody here. Prodigal Son. There's actually on TV, I'm not going to put it up there, there's an Xfinity, like the cable service for your house, Xfinity. There's a commercial parodying the Prodigal Son that's currently showing on TV right now. The guy comes back to Xfinity and hugs the cable guy. He's like, I missed, I was gone. So we're actually going to do our own little version of this. And we have some people are going to be acting it out in a dramatic fashion. So give them your love, give them your support, okay? These guys are... They're not professionals, okay? But they are trying. And I will say, at the end of February, we're going to try to do a whole night of drama, of dance, skits, comedy even. We're going to try to be funny. And we're going to actually try at the end to be serious too. But that's going to be the whole February 29th. It only comes once every 4 years. We're going to try to do that February 29th. We need your help. Okay, Frankie can't do it all. Okay, she is very dramatic, happy, good. We need some help. So if you want to be a part of that, I sent it out on Facebook. Hello, move over. Okay. All right, good. All right, here we go. This is the parable of the Prodigal Son, some version of it, okay?
Do you ever get bored of your average day-to-day existence? I mean, I sure do. Well, I should say I did. And then one day, I changed that. See, conventional wisdom states that when you grow older, you grow up, your parents die, they pass away, and you get what's ever left, inheritance. Well, you know what? No, sorry. No, you know what? I want that now. I mean, I want to have that inheritance now when I'm young, and use it. I'm not old and strange. I mean, come on. Living will. So, here's what it is. I walked right to my dad and I said, Dad! I want what's coming to me right now. That's what my youngest son said to me. I said, wow. I'm going to give you what's coming to you right now. Who does he think he is, coming up and demanding to me that I give him what he wants? You know what? You little ungrateful little boy. I brought him into this world, and I can take him out of the world and make another one just like him. But, he is my son, and I love him. So as much as it pained me, I went ahead and gave in to his desires. I gave him a wallet full of money, said, son, you're free to go and explore the world. And you know that even before that money hit his wallet, he was already packed and leaving. And the next thing I knew, I was out of there. I kissed that place goodbye. There was a whole world sitting at my doorstep, ready for me to discover. All I had to do was just take one step. And you know the first thing I did when I got out there? He got lost. Matter of fact, he's going with Sheldon. He got lost 4 times before he got out of our home city. That's not true. It was 3 times. One of those does not count because I could not understand what the guy was saying. I just nodded my head and left. Anyway, it's not my fault I got lost when someone didn't teach me. Don't go there. Okay, come on.
Anyways, I finally got out of there. It was right, actually. And, well, let's see. Well, I got out of there and I started living large. Started living it up. I started meeting all these cool people. Started buying all these fancy clothes. Started eating like a king. And the ladies, I mean, what can I say about the ladies?
What can I say about the ladies? They were no ladies. They were women, but mind you, not ladies.
They were two ladies. Well, I mean, most of them. I mean, there was Connie and Margaret. Okay, no, they weren't ladies, but there was Francine and yeah, no, they weren't ladies.
Yes, exactly. As I was saying.
Wait! Emily was a lady.
Yeah, lady of the evening.
Right, yeah.
That's going to hurt.
Okay, well, never mind. Okay, so none of them were ladies. But the friends, the food, the nice clothes, I mean, it was pretty awesome. Well, until the money started running out. It was kind of a shock when I figured it out.
He figured out his very first lesson. The first lesson that he learned is that, you know what? Money can buy friends. But as soon as the money started running out, he realized his second lesson came pretty quick.
Well, the ladies stopped coming around when I couldn't buy them dinner. We'll just go with dinner. I couldn't buy them dinner. And my friends,
they really started to show their true colors. They started hanging out with Sheldon, because he had all the money. The wonderful fair weather friends. But you know what? He found some new friends. Not your normal friends, but he did find some new friends.
So I didn't have any little ladies going around. I didn't have any friends. So yeah, that's fine, I'll live. So I'm walking down the street, acting all fine. And this guy comes up to me and offers me this great job.
A great job. Not sure I would call that a great job. But I don't know that it was cracked up. Or at least what he thought it would be to be a great job.
I was offered the head of the livestock.
Head of the livestock?
Okay, fine. Head of the pen.
I don't think that was quite the title.
Well, fine. I was offered to feed the pigs, okay?
I am sure this had to be quite a humbling experience for the young man. Because he lived in large. He was in my house. He had everything. And I'll have to be honest, because a part of me was trying not to laugh. When I heard that he was feeding pigs, I was like, serves you right. But you know what? He's still my son.
One day I was feeding these pigs, and all of a sudden it hit me. These pigs are better fed than I am. I mean, they get to sleep all day, uninterrupted, and they get to wallow in all this mud. I mean, I can't think of the last time I got great food, great sleep, great mud. Oh wait, there was
yeah, my house. My house, we tried to do everything for him. We gave him food, he could eat whatever he wanted. He could sleep whatever he wanted. He had servants, for goodness sake. Sure, he had to do some things. But what son doesn't have to do some things around the house? But you know what? He decided that we'd be better off on his own. But you know, my oldest son is still in the house, and I'm very grateful for him. I don't want to forget him. But I can't help but think about the son who has left. He's faithful. But you know what? I still miss him.
I miss being home, eating, sleeping. I miss my family. I thought I could go out there and actually, take care of myself. Living large, having swag, but the swag.
Yeah, he thought he had swag. He thought he was going to be the big man on campus. Conquer the world,
But I realized just how good it was. And I just realized how good it was at home. And I started thinking how my servants, my own servants, were being better fed, had better sleeping routine. And I mean, could I go home? Should I go home?
I couldn't help myself always thinking, man, I hope he's eating well. I hope he's getting sleep. I hope he's okay. Lord, I hope you're watching over him. And I was wondering, would I ever even really see him again?
That's it. I'm going home. I'm going to crawl on my knees. I'm going to beg my father to take me back as a slave. There's got to be better than this. So I started my long journey home with mixed feelings. Should I go? Should I not go? Should I go? And I just felt like a failure to him.
But then there was one day I was sitting on my porch, thinking about my son. And then I looked off in the distance. And I saw what seemed like a figure walking down the dusty road. Now, I've seen many a figure walking down a dusty road, but this one, I looked, and my heart jumped, and I thought.
I knew my heart was racing, and it was pumping. I could see my father's house, and I thought to myself, oh no, I really shouldn't go. Can I go? I mean, what is he going to think of me? I probably should just turn around. So I
decided to send one of my servants out to go check, see who it was, just to confirm my curiosity. And to my amazement, when my servant returned and he said, "It's your son, master, it's your son." I couldn't believe my ears. I couldn't believe that my son was returning. I wondered why.
I was looking up the road and I saw someone running down the road, and I thought, man, why is there a man running down the road? Wait a minute. Man looks like my father. But I thought, no, why would my father come running to see me? I mean, unless he's going to beat me. Oh gosh, no.
See, I immediately dropped everything as soon as I heard that it was my son. And I immediately started running for him. It didn't matter what I had on. It didn't matter what people thought. I knew my son was coming down the road, and I had to go see him. And as he drew closer and closer, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. And when I saw him, I started to crying. Why was he crying? I asked him why. Tears of joy. That's what they were. They were tears of joy. I knew. And do you know what my son did next? I jumped. I actually jumped. I couldn't believe it. And my father. And I caught him. And then he hugged me. He hugged me like only a father could hug a son. And I told him, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. You cannot call me your son. I couldn't even hear. I was just in utter amazement, and I started yelling at the top of my lungs, my son has returned! Bring him clean clothes! Bring him something to eat! No, not a meal. Let's prepare a feast, for my son has returned. He will no longer live as an orphan. But today, we will celebrate, for my hopes and my prayers have come true. You know, I guess it was just the hope that kept me going. A hope that maybe my father would take me back in. That maybe he would understand. A hope that he would forgive me. Forgiven. Oh, all is forgiven. I will never, ever bring it up again. I will not even think of the thought. I will not hang it over your head. There is no blame. There is no anger. There is nothing but joy, because my son was lost, but now he is found. The story depicts a father and the younger son, but there's actually two sons in the house. I'm going to talk a little bit about the younger son. The younger son, as we see within the scope of the story, seems a little bit like a brat when you think about it, right? He's out there, he's demanding from his father, this is what I want, Dad. This is what I want. No matter that it was money or his freedom or, man, I'm tired of my parents, I'm tired of this, or I'm tired of that. He wanted to enjoy or to experience the freedom or to be out on his own. Very symbolic sometimes when we walk outside of the covering of God. If we walk outside the covering of God, we're saying, I want to do this on my own, God. I got this. I can handle this. I got money in my pocket. I got my cell phone. I got my friends. I got my mind. I got my car. I got all that, God. I've got it completely under control. And so he set off. And he thought he was going to walk out there And he thought that he would have the favor. He thought that everything would go his way. But lo and behold, he found out that it was a pretty cruel world out there. He found out that, you know what? Not everybody is honest. Not everybody is truthful. Not everybody always has his best interest. Not everybody cares about him. Not even the people that he thought cared about him. Nobody Facebooked him anymore. Nobody texted him anymore. He was out on his own. And pretty soon he found himself at the lowest point of life when he was hanging out with the pigs. And in some regard, in some part of his mind, he had to think, does anybody care about me? Does anybody even know that I'm down here in the mud? Once again, the symbolism drawing to, does anybody even care that I feel like I am in a web of sin? Does anybody even care that I don't even feel like I can face church, face God? I can't even read my Bible because as soon as I pick it up and I begin to read it, I feel the guilt and the shame of my life and what I've done in my past. Why does it always come back up? Man, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to do my best and I'm in the mud and I'm in the pit, and why does it keep coming to mind that I ran out of my father? That I basically spit in his face? I said, I got this. But at some point, the young man hit rock bottom. But notice when he hit rock bottom, the only friends that he had were the pigs. One of the dirtiest creatures on the face of the planet. They know no friends. They'd soon enough eat your hand than eat the slop that they eat. He hit it and he decided, you know what? I don't care if I have to go back and beg. I will crawl on my hands and knees just to be a servant in my father's house. He wasn't even looking for total restoration. He just wanted to be a servant. Because he knew his servants would even at least eat better. What a hard track that is. Some of you guys might identify with that track. Some of you who've made that track before. Maybe some of you have to need to make that track. It's hard because everything that goes against you, your flesh, your spirit, the spirit is weak, but the flesh is so strong, and the flesh saying, no, don't do it. You're just going to fail again. You're just going to end back up in the mud pit. Why even try? Why don't you just give up? Just live with the pigs and die with the pigs. You know what? And then when somebody comes around, clean yourself up so you look good. And as soon as they leave, go back to hanging out with the pigs. But that young man decided, he said, listen, no. I've been in my father's house before. I know what it's like. I've been with God before. I've been with Christ before. You know what? Even if God holds me at second rate, which He won't, He'll welcome you back as an unconditional son or daughter. But it's got to be better than the way that I'm living. It has to be better. It has to be better. Not having hope. Not having the joy. Not having the peace. Not being able to wake up and enjoy a day and looking at a day and say, man, this day is going to be awesome because God, I know that you have something great for me. Versus waking up. You have a choice waking up tomorrow in the same humdrum, dead-end life saying, hope I'll make it through today. Or you can decide and you say, you know what? No, tomorrow's going to be a different day. But this is only the perspective of the younger son. This younger son, one of the sons that's most often forgotten, is actually the older son. And the older son, I think we'll find, has a very different but unique perception.
Thanks, Dave. We're trying WWE style tag team, so see how this goes here. I want to talk to you about the older brother because we call this story sometimes the Prodigal Son, but in reality, Jesus didn't call this parable. If you want to flip back, it's Luke 15. If you have a Bible or you have a phone that has a Bible, turn there, if you would. If you have something that you could write with, you could do that too. Not to read the Bible, but you could use it. And I'm not going to read the entire story, but I will pick up with the older brother in a second. The beginning of this story starts in Luke 15, verse 11. This is how Jesus starts the story. He doesn't say, this is the story of the prodigal son, guys. You've heard this one before. He says, there was a man who had 2 sons. This is really a story not just about the one guy that left, who rebelled against his dad, but this is also a story about the older brother, which we don't hear about. You guys all Bibled up? Good. Luke 15. Luke 15. So the older brother is, who is this guy? The older brother is the one that never left. This little guy was the one that said, forget you, Dad, I don't need what you have here at the house. I want to cash in on your inheritance, what you have, what you're going to give to me when you die. I want to cash in now. But the older brother is the one who stayed around. He remained in the house the entire time the younger brother was gone, squandering away his father's money on self-centered pleasure. So this guy hung around. He did what was right. He was never the one who rebelled. He was the good Christian kid. He was a kid that didn't go do all the crazy stuff that you see some people doing. But he wasn't the one who was unrighteous. He was the one who was self-righteous. He wasn't the one who was a dirty sinner, but instead he was a cold-hearted, legalistic Pharisee. See, this story really is about redemption, the possibility of redemption for not only the prodigal, wayward, rebellious person, but also redemption for those who are self-righteous, legalistic, and religious. This story covers both spectrums of people that say, God, I don't need you, I'm going to do my own thing, to those who think, God, I really don't need you because I'm living such a great life that you're going to pour it back to me because I earned it. If you really dive into what Jesus is saying, you'll find that the older brother is no better off for having stayed with the father than the younger brother. Let me read to you in verse 25. It says this, meanwhile, the older son was in the field. This is after the younger son had come back. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of his servants and asked him what was going on. Your brother has come, he replied, and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound. And look at the brother's response here. The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, look, all these years I've been slaving away for you and never disobeyed your orders. I'm a good guy. I'm the good guy here. What's going on? That you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. Honestly, if you read this, it seems pretty random here. What? A goat? What are we talking about? I thought we were talking about your brother. What's a goat have to do with it? But when this son of yours who has squandered your property with prostitutes comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him. Here's the father's reply. My son, the father said, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. You want a goat? You can have a goat. Everything I have is yours. What are we talking about here? But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost, and now he's found. Let me give you a couple observations. This won't take too long. About the older brother. Again, if you have pen and paper, write this down because it'll help you remember. The older brother thinks he knows better than the father. You may not be here tonight and think, I'm not the prodigal. I'm not out doing crazy stuff. I'm not partying, drinking, getting wasted, sleeping around. That's not my life. Although some of it, you may identify with that guy. But some of you say, man, I grew up in church. That's not me. But here's the funny thing about the older brother. He thinks he knows better than the father. And it's crazy how a lot of people who profess to be a Christian in many ways think they know more than God. Some people would say, God, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. That's not fair. When something happens in somebody else's life, or you see something going on, we start getting angry at God because God can't do that. That's not right. Because we think we know more than God. We've been around church so long, we know so much about what God should and shouldn't do. That we can all actually think we can tell God what to do. Number 2, he shows absolutely no concern, compassion, or sympathy for his little brother. He's been around the Father's house, around the Father who has a heart of love, but this is not rubbed off on him to the least. We talked about this last week with the parable of the Good Samaritan, how sometimes even the most religious people, the people that spend so much time in church, people that should be the ones giving and caring the most, are the ones that do it the least. And that's the story of this older brother. He should have had a heart of love and compassion at some level for his little brother, but he doesn't care about the guy. He doesn't care about him at all. He probably said, you know, hey, it's karma, man. It's karma. That's what you get. You know, I believe in karma. You know, someone on Twitter. It's karma. So, you know, by the way, karma is Buddhism. In case you believe in karma, that's not our team. Okay, just want to share that with you. Listen, guys, the Bible does talk about sowing and reaping. That when you do certain things, you reap what you sow. But the big message of Scripture is not karma or even sowing and reaping. It's the grace and love of God. And that far surpasses these little principles. We say, oh, see, you got what you deserve. That's your fault. See, shouldn't have done that to me. Now you got that. You got what you deserve. The Bible says that we receive the grace of God, not just what we deserve. That's the beauty. That's the gospel that we talk about here. It's not, well, you screwed up. Sorry, Devon. Tough luck, man. But that God can reach down into our mistakes and lift us up out of them, and we can rise above all the failures in our lives because of the grace of God. Number 3, he wants to control the Father. By refusing to come in, refusing to get with the party. I don't want to go do the karaoke, Mom. You know, I don't want to be part of that stuff. I don't want to get into the dancing because I'm mad. So he's trying to control the dad. He's trying to shut this thing down and get the dad out of the party. You can't be a part of that. Look at me. I'm upset. I don't like how all this is going, man. I don't like how you're treating other people. Man. Look, I don't like this stuff. He tries to control the dad. Some of us want a God that can be tamed. We want to control him. A God that does what we say. Some people's perception of God is, if I tell, I pray, I'm a good person, I pray, that God's basically going to give me what I want. But God doesn't work that way. God's not a tame God. He doesn't just do whatever we say. God's a good God, but he's not a God that follows our commands. Number 4. The older brother makes the situation about himself. It's interesting. He starts bringing up a goat. He brings up some random stuff because really, this situation had nothing really to do with him. This is a wonderful, glorious day. His brother come home. He's not busted up, broken down, out in the world, getting, who knows what. He's back in the house. He's safe and sound. This is a good day. But instead, he turns it on its head and says, what about me, man? Where's my stuff? Dad, what about my party? You never gave me a party. I'm good. He starts turning it on himself. We're pretty good at that sometimes. Turning things that should be celebration, we turn into our little pity party. Someone else, something good happens to them, they get a girlfriend, boyfriend. Well, I don't have a relationship. What have you been like me? Why don't you just be happy for somebody else? And sometimes we turn somebody else's life into, oh man, what about me? So he turns this whole situation back to himself. He's very self-centered in that way. And even though some of us, like I said, have never done all the crazy stuff, or that's not necessarily our story, we can still wind up being incredibly self-centered, even while we're sitting out, chilling out in church. Number 5, he complains about all he gave up to be a good son. So he turns it back to himself and says, man, I've been slaving away for you, Dad. Man, it's a big sacrifice to be here, in this mansion. I've been slaving away. And I'm sure he worked. I'm sure he did what he had to do. I'm sure he abstained from certain things. But goodness gracious, all through the story is talking about the servants they had. This guy wasn't a servant. He was the oldest brother, the one who's going to receive all of the inheritance, or 2/3 of the inheritance, basically. He had it hooked up. This guy was not slaving away. It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of perspective. At this point, his perspective was a little bit off. Sometimes we think it's such a sacrifice. To be honest, we think, man, I'm a Christian, but I got to give up all this stuff. Man, I can't go to parties anymore. I don't know if I want to be a Christian. I oh, what are you saying? Like, if I'm a Christian, I can't sleep with my girlfriend? Man, that's such a sacrifice. You know, what you say if I'm a Christian, man, I can't go smoke weed? I mean, why not? God made weed, right? You know? You also made poison ivy. Go smoke that, okay? Have fun. Yeah. Sometimes we think we're making such a huge sacrifice. Man, I'm a Christian. God, you owe me because I'm sacrificing to do this. You know, all these rules and all this stuff. And this was the mentality of the older brother. Man, it's been so tough, man, in this house. I'm sacrificing, I'm a slave for you. You don't do anything for me, Dad. The Bible says in Romans 12:1 that we are to offer our bodies as living sacrifices. The Bible does say to be a Christian is a life of being a living sacrifice. But the cool thing is that sacrifice you make, you far receive in return way more than you ever give out. Because when you live as a living sacrifice for God, He's pouring His blessing and His favor into your life. And the things that He says, man, that's messed up. That's wrong. Don't do that. When the Bible says that, He's not saying that's who God's up in heaven going, you're not having any fun. You're in my house. You're chill. Oh, you're a Christian. Look at you. You're missing out on all that stuff. Look at all the stuff you're missing out on. Ha. That's not how God is working the thing. All of the commands in the Scriptures are for our benefit. They're for our good. When it says, this is how I want you to live, it's for our benefit, our joy. And sometimes we have the hardest time believing that. And we get so messed up and so, just messed up in our mind, like this guy. All of a sudden he's like, man, I've been a slave here at your house, Dad. This is terrible. We get it all twisted. I'll tell you a second about my story. I grew up in church. I don't identify with the prodigal very much, although I've had moments where I've definitely rebelled against God and done things I shouldn't have done. I'm by no means perfect. I'm not saying that. You know, we've all done things of that nature, but for the most part, I was the guy that was in church, going to youth group, hearing the sermons. Not supposed to, go get wasted on the weekend. Oh, okay, all right, well, heard that enough. I guess that's scriptural. I'm not supposed to be sleeping with girls. Okay, well, that's in the Bible. I got to believe that. So I had the foundation of this is what God's asking of a person who's following Him. And so the tough thing for me, and the tough thing for a lot of us who grow up in church, is to get to a place where not only do we know it, but we believe it. A lot of us know it, but we were like, dang it. They're having so much fun. They're the ones that are really living life. Man, I want to go to heaven, so I guess I better do this stuff. And that's kind of our attitude toward like God's really just ripping us off. And I have to be honest with you, I had times in my life in high school where I would see friends just living the prodigal life. No restraint, no nothing, just doing whatever the heck they wanted to do. And there's that part in your heart and in my heart that would say, you know what, maybe that's where the fun is. Maybe that's where life is. Maybe that's really where I need to be. It seems like it. I'm surrounded by people who say it is. Maybe I'm the one that's messed up. Maybe I'm the one that's got this all wrong. Maybe I'm missing out on something. You only were in high school one time. You only in college one time. And on and on and on. Maybe I'm missing out. That's a real issue each one of you guys are going to have to deal with. Just being straight. Getting to a place where you say, you know what, who's really missing out? Is it me trying to follow the Word of God, basing my life on the Bible and what God says? Or is it people who are doing whatever they feel like? Who's really messing themselves up? Is it me who I'm missing out on all these things that are going on and I feel like I'm being deprived? Or is it people in the world who are just living with recklessness in their lives, doing whatever anybody says, trying this, trying that, and who's really missing out? And until you get to a place where you settle that, you know what? Not only do I believe there's a Jesus and I believe there's a heaven, but I believe that the Bible is right. Not just right in some factual way, but it's right about life. When it says, don't have sex before marriage, it's not because God hates you. It's because God loves you. And when all the other things, it's not because God is laughing at you and saying, ha, ha, ha. It's because He cares about you so much, and it's how He's designed the world to work. So he complains, this older brother, about what he gave up. 2 left. He's number 6. He's very rigid. Has a very rigid and distorted relationship with his dad. Brings up this thing about what his father never gave him. You never gave me the goat. You never gave me a party. Dad, you never did anything for me. And I always wondered, did you even ask him? Did you ever even ask him? Or were you so busy just trying to be a good person and just not trying to cause any problems that you never even had a relationship with your dad? Because it certainly seems like he has a bad relationship. He doesn't respect what his dad's done. He doesn't respect his dad's choice. I'm wondering if this guy even ever asked, hey, Dad, some friends of mine want to come over and just want to hang out. And sometimes we're like that with God. We get all mad about this and that, but we don't even talk to God. Really. When do we even talk to Him? We don't spend time with Him, but we get mad at Him. You know? And I'm wondering what this guy, did he even talk to his dad? Did he build a relationship? Did he take that step? And I'm not saying you guys got to start with an hour-long prayer every morning. I'm sure that's good if you can do that. But man, just basically trying to spend a little time with God, talking to Him, can work wonders in your life. Finally, this. Ultimately, he doesn't really love his father. He loves what his father will eventually give him, the inheritance, but he doesn't enjoy, love, or respect his dad. You can see that by his actions. He's indignant, thinks his dad's making a terrible decision, tries to control him. He doesn't really love his dad. And the question tonight, like I said before, do you honestly believe that being with your father is far better than anything this world can offer? If you can settle that question, if you can pray through that, if you can dig into that question, I think that'll work some big things in your life. Do I really believe that serving God is better than what all the other people I see day in and day out, what they're doing, what they're living for? Do I believe that? Am I just doing this because my parents do it, always have, I'm just kind of here? Do I believe this is the way? The funny thing, when Christianity began, they called it the way. That was the name of it. This is the way to live. This is the way of life. Do I really believe that? Because what can happen is older brothers can go a couple directions. They just become possibly bitter, angry, just kind of keep that sort of attitude toward their father. I'm still a church person, but I can't stand all these heathen, all these people smoking and all that, you know. Just kind of have this religious, pharisaical attitude. Or honestly, what happens to a lot of older brothers that chill out in youth groups, spend time in doing all these activities, because they never really believe that this is the way. When they get the chance, the first chance, they become prodigals. And here's the thing, some people say, well, that's good, because then they'll come back home and then it's all happy and great. That's everybody between the age of 17 and 25 should be a prodigal. Just live it up. Have 3 kids. Do it. But you know, here's the thing. Not all prodigals return. Not all prodigals come home. If that was the surefire way to really love your dad and come back home, hug him, have a great party, you know, then we'd all do it. Okay, God's gracious, so let's all just go sin and do a lot of stupid stuff. We'll realize how idiotic that was, and then we'll go back to God. But you know, here's the deal. Not all prodigals come back home, because not all prodigals come to their senses. In the story Jesus told, the guy comes to his senses. He realized this is not working. But the sad reality of life, if you observe people, not everybody gets to that point. They try one other thing. Well, it wasn't this relationship. Let me try that relationship. Well, that didn't work. Let me try this one. Well, it wasn't this drug. Let me try that drug. It wasn't this amount of money or this possession. Let me get this other one. And on and on and on. And people live their whole life chasing stuff, and they don't quite hit rock bottom. They don't quite get there. And it's a life that's wasted. The Bible in Proverbs, in the Old Testament, puts it like this. Proverbs 26:11. As a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. And this is true of so many people who would be prodigals but don't come back. They just keep doing the same thing over and over for their whole life. And so what I share that with you for is because tonight, I really believe that God is speaking to some hearts. Whether you're the prodigal type of person or the older brother, I believe God's giving us an opportunity to really see into where we are and what we might be doing with our lives. And Daniel, if you come, I don't know, you're still here, Daniel?
Yeah.
You around? Thanks, man. Daniel's going to come and just play a little bit on the guitar. As you wrap this up tonight, I don't know where you find yourself. But the point of this story that Jesus told, the point of this parable is for his audience, which was so diverse, to really hone in on who they really were. And the big point of the story is not even just the sons, but it was the outlandish and amazing love of the Father for both of his sons. Father loved both of them. The one that's going to rebel and run away, the one that stayed there and was just self-righteous and angry at his dad. Father loves both. There's actually a book written by a guy named Timothy Keller. He calls it the Prodigal God. Because the word prodigal doesn't mean person that runs away. Prodigal means extravagant, spending it all. And the truth is, the Father in this story, God our Father, is a prodigal God. Because he spends all of his love, all of his grace, all of his mercy on us. Not because we deserve it, not because we've earned it, because we're amazing, but because he is so awesome and amazing. He's a prodigal God. He gives everything for us. Tonight, I don't know if you just want to bow your heads and close your eyes. We'll just wrap it up this way. With your heads bowed and eyes closed, I just want to give you a chance to respond tonight, because I know God is speaking. And this may be your moment to come back home. This may be your moment to come back home to the Father. Maybe you've been running. You've been off doing your thing. And you, at this moment in your life, realize, you know what, I need my Father, my Heavenly Father. I need Him. Being with Him is far better than anything else I could chase after in this world. That's where you're at tonight. That's what you want to do. If that's you, everybody's just bowing their head and closing their eyes. I want you to just lift your hand and say, you know what, I want to come back. That's where I'm at. That's what I want tonight. It's humbling, but that's what it takes. God gives grace to the humble, it says in the Bible. Maybe that's where you are. Just lift your hand. I want to pray with you tonight. Put your hand back down. Maybe you're here and you're not running from God necessarily. Maybe you're always been in the church, always been around here, just kind of doing your thing, trying to do what's right. But maybe the truth is that you haven't got to a place where you really believe, you really honestly believe you're not missing a thing. I'm not missing a thing. And tonight, you would want to ask God to help you with that. Because I know getting to that place is such a monumental thing in our life. To realize, you know what? Serving God, I'm not missing a thing. I, in fact, am pursuing a life of joy, of hope. This is life more abundantly. But until you really get that, it just becomes just a religion, just something you do. So if that's you tonight, you want God to just help you get to a place where you enjoy Him. You realize there's nothing in this world that can pull me away from Him. There's nothing that is out there that I really need, whatever it might be. Is there anyone here tonight? So yeah, that's me. I want God to help me with that. I want God to help me with that. Cool. Just lift your hand if that's you. It's good. It's good. We're going to wrap it up tonight by praying in the front. If you raised your hand for any of this, and you just want to come and make a commitment to God tonight, we have some folks that would love to pray with you, some youth leaders here. We would love to pray with you and agree with you on what God's doing in your life. So I want to invite you forward to this front area just to spend spend a moment praying with God and just making a commitment to Him tonight. If you're returning to, if you're coming back home, if you need to confess some sin, if you need to just give it to Him. Let Him wash it away. This is the time to do it. If you need the help of the Holy Spirit in your life, you need whatever. This is the time to get with God and spend it with Him.